Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the PolarPro ND Filter, the Shutter Collection ND filters for the GoPro Hero 9 Black. And so we're going to do a couple test shots out here and about this. All right, not much to the unboxing. They come in this card box, then a nice covered case, or plastic case, I should say. You get an ND8, an ND16, and an ND32. And these are designed for you to shoot in bright to midday environment conditions. Quick voiceover, my microphone was giving me some problems, but to remove the lens off the GoPro, this is the GoPro lens, you just twist counterclockwise or clockwise and it comes right off. I can't say the same about the PolarPro filters. The first time I put this on, it was stuck onto my camera for about a day and a half. My fingers were hurting, I could not get it off. And I was scared to break the camera. It's just very difficult to get a good grip on and twist them off. So to put these on, you want to start off by having the little clamps, those built-in clamps or bars, I guess you can call them, on top and bottom, because then you're going to twist and that's going to secure it in there. So you're going to have those little side grips right here on the sides. It's on both. And right now I just put on the ND16. Now, the only way I really had a hard time with this. I had to end up using like a towel because it would not budge at all. So I played around with it, twisted it on and off a lot to make it a little bit easier. But even then, look, right now I'm struggling to twist it off. It does take some effort to put on and off. I'm not very, to be honest with you. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the ND32 because it's nice and bright out here. Again, those two top bars on the bottom and top, twist, and now it snaps right on. So once you put the ND filter on, you'll have the ND marking up top, the ND edging. Make sure that's facing upwards, and that's just a good way to guide yourself. That way you know it's on properly. And I actually wanted to show you guys that you can use these with the media mod. So they are very secured on there. You have nothing to worry about. You can put these on, cycle, your bike, whatever. These filters are not going to go anything or any. That's one of the pluses about using this type of filters. For example, the Telesin filters that I did a video on previously, where they go on top of the actual lens. The good thing about the case is you can store the GoPro filter in here while you're using one of the filters and pack it up. In addition to that, the GoPro Media Mod, if you're using some sort of metal cage or aluminum cage, no issues with this one that I have. This is the Telesin one, but it should fit just fine with your respective cage. If you own like a Ulanzi one or another type, I don't think that'll be an issue on there. It fits perfectly. No ND filter on right now. Shutter set to auto, 4K, 24 frames per second, GoPro colors, GoPro filter on, no ND on. All right, GoPro colors, shutter set to 1/48 of a second, wide, 4K, 24 frames per second, ISO max 100. ND16 is on, and shutter set to 1/48 of a second. As you can see, it is not strong enough. The clouds are blown out. Here I have the ND16 on, and I have the exposure set to -0.5 with the shutter speed to auto. Just wanted to show you that you can make some tweaks here. Okay guys, the lighting is changing a lot here because I got a bunch of clouds moving in, rolling in. I have the bit rate set to high. What we're gonna do right now is do a couple of Hypersmooth, or test the Hypersmooth with the filter on. As you may already know, the Hypersmooth is affected by the filters when you put them on these GoPros. But I was told in the comment section of my previous video to change the bit rate to standard and then play around with the frame rates as well. We have the shutter speed set to auto. We have the camera with the GoPro lens on, no ND filter on, Hypersmooth is on. 4K, 24 frames per second. All right, we have the ND32 on, 1/48 of a shutter, and we have the high bit rate on, Hypersmooth on. All right, we have 4K 24 frames per second, 1/48 of a second, Hypersmooth on, bit rate standard. 4K 30 frames per second, 1/60th of a second shutter speed. I have the bit rate set to high. Hypersmooth on. All right, 4K 30 frames per second, 1/60th of a second shutter speed, set to bit rate standard. So if you're wondering why I don't have more footage, it's because I got really frustrated with these PolarPro filters and I just didn't really continue to use them. They are really difficult to mount onto your GoPro, and to the point where my fingers were hurting and I just got tired of dealing with it. Another thing that I wanted to point out, while they do fit on with the media mod on or with the cage, as I showed you at the beginning of the video, you do have to take the camera out of the cage to get the filter off and then put another one on. If you have the media mod on, you have to open the door and then twist the filter off to put the other one on, or to put this back, the original back on. For my style of shooting, it's just not practical, it's not convenient. I prefer the ones that just go over the top of the lens and you don't have to, you know, twist this off and all that. But that's just my personal preference. If you're a motor vlogger, or if you're, you know, you want to mount it on like a car or something, you may want to go with the PolarPro ones. Even though I feel comfortable using like the Tellison ones that I have, I feel comfortable using those on my car. But that's just my personal opinion. Some people may not and want that extra security, and I get it. That's fine. In terms of the image quality, I didn't really see any difference there. It didn't really affect it in a bad way. You did see a little bit of the green cast in photos. I don't know why in photos I noticed, to my eye, it was a little bit of a green tint there. In the video, it was a little bit more warmer. Nothing that you can't fix in post, but for me, it's just not worth $80. I sent them back. They're on their way back to PolarPro. I'd rather stick to the Tellison ones that I have, or you may want to check out the Freewell ones. I've heard good things about those. I haven't checked those out yet. With those kits, you also get a polarizer one, which in this one you don't. You only get 3 filters with this one. So that's just my opinion. I have nothing against PolarPro. I've used them for my my Mavic Air 2, my Mavic Air in the past. They've worked great. But in terms of the GoPro filters, they're just not practical. So I can't recommend them. That's just my personal opinion. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. Oh, also the whole Hypersmooth thing, it's not a PolarPro thing. It's a filter thing. Any filter you put on these GoPros will affect it. I tested it with the higher bit rate. It didn't make a difference. It was a slight improvement, but the Hypersmooth is really affected by it. So just know that. So that's it, guys. I hope you found this helpful and informative. If you didn't, sorry. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Subscribe. Check out my other GoPro videos up here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.